Hi guys, very good evening to all of you for the Countdown Cat 3 live analysis. And GP sir will be joining me in just about a minute. And I and GP sir will be taking you through the analysis today. Uh, there are already questions about why did Jijo sir not record the solutions for Countdown Cat 3? Jijo sir was not available this particular week, and hence he could not record the solutions. Nevertheless, Siddharth sir has recorded the solutions for VRC, and he is also one of the most sought after persons for VRC. So Jijo sir is not joining us today, but I have with me GP sir here, and I think the first impression is very clear and loud and clear, sir. VRC में game over. This time around, VRC was the game changer, according apparently, and apparently DILR was easy, is what the students are saying. So let me just quickly go through the PPT. All right. So these are the overall scores versus percentiles when it comes to Countdown Cat 3 as compared to Cat 2021 and Cat 2020, where you can see, GP sir, that they are exactly, you know, the kind of mapping that is there for Countdown Cat 3 with respect to CAT 2020 and CAT 2021, the scores are more or less similar. The overall scores required to get those percentiles are more or less similar at the higher levels, but while coming to the lower levels, it has become a little diluted in that sense. And primarily, the reason that I expect before we go into the session itself is that VRC was a tough nut to crack, while DILR and Quant were easier. So people would who would I generally score in VRC could not probably score much in VRC this time around, and as a result, of what they lost in in VRC, they compensated for that in DILR and QA, and that is what is quite evident in the total scores that we have received over here.
Yeah, but Gauri, that's very normal. All three sections are never very difficult, and neither are all three sections easy. One odd section will be difficult, one and the other two will be easy or medium. Okay, so that's one section being easy, other and you are able to compensate from the other section. I think is a good sign. What I would like, what I would be happy about in this paper is, yes, DILR was not
Sir,
difficult, but
your voice is pretty meek.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ravi, can you hear me now?
yeah. Now it's better.
Okay, great, great. So Ravi, all I was saying was I was happy with this. I'm happy with the fact that despite a disaster in VRC, the students were able to pick up themselves and do well in the other two sections. Because many a time we have seen students not doing in one section, just give up and the subsequent section suffer. So I think that's one very positive thing out here. Uh, and this I would say is despite the fact that DILR was not difficult, but DILR looked difficult. The first graph or the last set of data, they definitely look sometimes something like a strange kind of a data set. Okay, so I'm sure that most of the students would not have seen those kind of data sets earlier. So they look difficult, and it required some amount of patience to go through them and understand. The remaining two, one was a predictable data set of arrangement, and the last one, and the set number three again was not difficult. A strange a graph was there, but not too much of worry, I would say. Okay. Some couple of people are saying copy of 2021. No, I don't think so. In terms of the kind of sets, they were different. And what was interesting about this type of the this DILR paper was in three out of the four sets you had to pick and choose the right questions to attempt. If there was one or difficult question, it was your job to leave them. Okay, it was only in one out of the four sets that you had to make a table and then go to the question. The remaining three were all about picking and choosing the easy questions. Okay, okay. So that was it. And again, when I look at the quant, yeah, I would say quite a few questions which could have been solved with the help of Jugaad. And something like 10 odd questions, 12 questions, I would not think would be too difficult. Yeah.
Right. So that is the overall percentile versus score graph. It is more or less similar to what it is every time. It's more like I feel like I'm pasting the same graph every time over here. So
Mm.
going to the VRC section, this is what there where I said, sir, that VRC section was a disaster for most of the students. When the 99.5th percentile, 99.5 percentile in this paper was at 34 marks, as against 45 marks in CAT 2020 and 44 in CAT 2021. 49 in CAT 2021. And similarly, even the 80th percentile barrier or the 85th percentile barrier fell to as low as 16 marks and 18 marks, which would otherwise land you nowhere in a section like VRC. And that is absolutely what is quite evident here. I think it was the RCs. When I read the passages also, the first RC and the third RC were the ones which I felt are a little difficult in terms of comprehension and getting to the questions as well, while the fourth RC I felt was manageable, and the fourth and second RCs were manageable, and that is what the overall the picture looks like to me also. So did you have chance to go through the VRC section, sir?
No, I have not gone through the VRC section. But what again is interesting in this particular graph is that people are finally attempting the VRC, the verbal part also, and not restricting themselves to the reading comprehension part. So almost like 75% plus attempts in verbal is a positive thing. And what is very obvious is two very simple questions and three medium questions. So that means this was a place where you could have probably picked up a few marks. And in a difficult paper, difficult reading comprehension, I would always say that whether it's a difficult RC or not, when it comes to the verbal part, 8 out of 8 questions will never be difficult. 8 out of 8 questions can never be difficult. Out of those eight, always 3 to 4 will be easy, doable, and that is why they should never be, let's say, ignored. Hmm.
Right. But the additional attempt rate, as you're saying, more than 75% attempt rate in verbal ability has come at a cost
Mhm.
of the attempts at at the RCs, like
See,
20%, 30%,
when yeah, you see, when
40%.
we say it is a difficult paper, I would expect the attempt rate to be lower. But this is definitely much lower than what I thought it should be. Maybe I also need to go through the paper and see what it is all about. But I missed that part. It's only in the second passage, questions 5 to 8, which seems to be a reasonable attempt. Second and third are third is still acceptable, though it's again on the lower side. But the first and fourth are definitely very poor. So Ravi, what was your impression of these two sets, first and fourth?
So I personally felt that the first one, when I was reading the first passage itself, I felt like, okay, ये बहुत ज़्यादा easily the questions were not pretty straightforward in that sense. That the
Mhm.
questions were a little more complicated than they usually are, and also the passage was not a good read. मतलब it was not easy to read and easy to comprehend. So in that sense, I didn't feel very comfortable in the first RC itself. However, the second RC typically made me a little more comfortable, and I felt the questions were also manageable in the second RC. However, the third one, again, the questions were had a couple of them had very close options which were not easily which I was not very easily able to eliminate also. So that is where I think most of us have faltered in the VRC section. Nevertheless, as it shows, a good 70-80% attempt in VA is really commendable on your part, but at the same time, it should not come at the cost of your score, your attempts in VA, in RC, but because RCs have options, boss. RCs have options. All you have to do is eliminate three options. Most of the time you will be very easily able to eliminate two out of the four options, and you will be stuck between option B and option C. In at such time, in such a condition, keep one thing in mind. Don't go and read the entire passage again. Don't go. If the first time you felt the answer is B, more, there are high chances that the second time also you will feel the answer is B, because you are convincing whom, you are convincing yourself that that is not the answer, that is not
Hmm.
going to happen. So don't waste time by getting when you get confused between the options. The only suggestion I have is don't waste time by going back to the RC. If you are confused, you are not confident, don't mark it, leave it, that's it.
And Ravi,
Yeah.
just I think this Prakhar's comment is something which is important. Spend 35 minutes on RC, got 6 marks. Spend 5 minutes on VA, got 12 marks. Now, I'm sure in 5 minutes he would not have been able to do all 8 questions. So which means Prakhar and everyone else, which is why I always insist, please keep at least 10 minutes for verbal. Whether at the beginning, middle, end, it's your choice completely. But please don't ignore verbal, because end of the day, verbal, as I've always maintained, if you spend time, you'll usually be able to get 4 to 5 correct answers. In the worst case, 3 correct answers. Okay, but most of the time, I've seen 4 to 5 correct answers is not difficult in verbal. One odd parajumble would always be easy. Then the parasummary odd statement, 4 to 5 out of 8 is usually doable out there. And yes, lack of negative marking or no negative marking, parajumbles, etc., is again a huge advantage.
Right. That brings us to, sir, easy कैसे दे दिया DILR is the question that I received from a couple of people.
Nee, but Ravi,
ऐसे कैसे?
last year I've been saying this multiple times. Please look at CAT 21, look at CAT 20. Two sets were easy in each of the papers. Okay, two sets were very simple, straightforward. And I still remember last year I was done with two sets in about 15 to 18 minutes, 16, 17, 18 minutes, something like that. And this despite the fact I would have spent some 6, 7 minutes in the beginning going through the sets and identifying which ones to attempt. Okay, so two sets in something like 20 minutes is not a unknown thing in DILR. So I don't think it is right to say that DILR is always difficult. Yes, one set will be difficult. I don't have any doubts about it. Okay, so where you could fault this paper was none of the sets was difficult per se. Okay, that I will agree with. However, what I liked about this paper, as I said earlier, also is that the first set and fourth set were different kind. I don't think most of the students would have seen this kind of a data set or this kind of graph or this kind of information. And the second thing which I liked is in each of the sets except the second set, set 1, 3, and 4, you could pick and choose the questions to attempt. So rather than getting wedded to a question or all question or going with for the fact that I have to do all questions, it should have been I have to do the right questions. For example, look at the first set. First set itself, I think the first three questions are the ones which are an issue. To me, the last set was definitely easy. Actually, I started with the third set, if I remember correctly. Started with third set, went to second set, went to fourth, and then came back to the first set when I was attempting the paper. Okay.
Right, I think the third set and the first set are nothing but a discomfort with DI. Yeah.
No, so first set is a discomfort with the look and feel, I would say. Strange looking information in a different format, and I've always maintained if it looks difficult, it is unlikely to be difficult. Because the people who are creating these questions, they don't want you to attempt, they want you to leave, especially if it is easy, and they want you to attempt if it is difficult. So if it is easy, they will try to make it look difficult. Okay, and
And not very
yeah.
often do we see in a DILR graph this green.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But for the change, it is along the expected lines. After the paper, I also felt exactly the same, and I was hoping that this time at least students will follow and be able to pick up the right set. So it seems right. Okay, I'm still not happy with the 40 odd percent attempt rate in first set, and I'm not happy with the 40 odd 50% attempt rate in the third and fourth. Third set to me what should have been 100% attempt. Everyone should have attempted third set. So to me that is the issue out here. The time you have spent on the first set should have gone into third set, could have gone into second set, could have gone into fourth set, any one of the three. Okay, so third set, which was the easiest. Okay, you don't even have to think. It was more of a counting kind of a data set, And last year's CAT paper, all three slots had one this kind of a set. Not exactly the same, but similar in terms that you did not have to do too much of work. Okay, so to me, if I'm disappointed in the DILR paper, it is only with the fact that set number three has a 45% attempt, 45-50% attempt. This I felt should have been something like 80-90% attempt, or ideally 100%. Okay. So if there's one set you should not have missed out in this paper, to me it was the bar graph, set number three. Okay. And those of you who have not been able to attempt or missed out on this set, please ask where did you goof up. To me, this was the easiest. Set number two is a standard arrangement kind of a data set. So even if you do set number two and three, you have done 10 questions. Nothing beyond that. Psychometric test, you might get confused, you may find it difficult. Set number one, again, you could just pick and so both in the mock test and the psychometric test, you could pick and choose the questions to attempt rather than trying to do all. And again, Ravi, if you look at the
Yeah.
psychometric test, while the greens are a lot, again look at the attempt rate, 45%. So to me, what this is telling me, half the students are still not choosing the right sets of data. To me, that is something which needs to be looked at.
I think what is more importantly a takeaway from this is that we generally say, boss, two sets is good enough.
Hmm. But
Two sets is a good attempt. But when you're sitting in the paper and you feel the paper is easy, then don't
hmm,
stop yourself from answering or attempting more than 10
Ravi,
questions in that paper.
Ravi,
Because
two
two
sets is
sets in
good
this
enough.
paper would have only managed to land you at a 90th percentile if the paper was like this.
And Ravi, two
Yeah,
sets would have been done in something like 25 to 30 minutes, worst case. Na?
correct.
What have you done in the balance 10-15 minutes? I would say 25 minutes, by and large, two sets would have been done. Set number three and either set number two or four, whichever. Even set number one was a 10-12 minute set. Okay. But I think I would have expected a higher percentage, at least from set number two and three. Set number two, because it's a standard DILR data set. That kind of data set you would have done multiple times. Okay. And I think if I look at the last 2-3 years CAT papers, we have had similar data sets in CAT also.
Absolutely. So this is a general notion. Okay, two sets is a good attempt is a general notion. That doesn't mean you stop at sets and you keep giving yourself 20 minutes per set, irrespective of that kind of set requires that kind of time or not. Once you are done with a set, just move on. Don't try and sitting and verifying your answers there. Just move on. If you have finished something in 10 minutes, move on. The next set you finish in 20 minutes, move on, right? So make sure that you attempt uh, as many questions as you can attempt. Not all papers will be easy, not all papers will be difficult. In an easy paper the cutoffs will go higher, the difficult papers the cutoff will go lower. So but make sure solve as much as you can. Don't have a target in your mind right away from the beginning ki do hi set karna hai. That is, two sets is a conservative strategy. Okay, two
Yeah,
sets is okay. Two sets will land you at anything something about 90-95 ish, but two sets is not going to take you to 99 plus. Okay,
yeah,
to get that
yeah,
99, always think of that third set that you have to solve in the paper also.
yeah. And Ravi, in
Yeah,
fact, I've just put Aditya's question on the comment on the screen. When I saw the first set, understood the data easily, but the questions took too much time. So Aditya, for you and others, this is the first thing you need to go through the set and see why did it take too much time to calculate. I don't think the calculation was that high. Okay. Uh, so your first task in analyzing the paper is how could I have saved time in calculation? Because if you can identify that, I think in the worst case, set number one would have taken maybe about 10 minutes. Because if I remember correctly, when I was recording the set, it took me about 14-15 minutes to record. And when I'm recording, I'm also explaining, I'm reading extra, I'm going through a couple of steps more just to make sure everything is clear. So if while recording I'm doing in something like 14-15 minutes, it was a set which was possibly doable in 8 to 10 minutes, as I would say. So the issue to me is go through the set, go through the video, see how the calculation which I've done, because I don't think it had the same quantity of calculation which you are speaking about.
so that brings us to QA section of the paper. So people said All India
Yeah,
mock
I
draft
just
had very
the
easy
yeah,
QA.
someone is Ravi, one is to
Yeah.
one is going on. I'm just commenting. I think I know which question these students are talking about. This is the answer is 1:1 only. Okay. The
Question
answer is one is
35.
to one. Yeah, I think it was up to a particular date. It was till 14th of the month, as if I 14th of December. Hence it was 1:1. If you miss out on that word 14th December, it would be 8:9. Okay. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
right.
Okay.
So a similar question was there in CAT 2020 slot 2, if I'm not wrong.
Hmm,
21 slot 2.
hmm.
Till a
Yeah,
particular date, till a project completion till a particular date
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
question.
Yeah, and again, I'm just picking up Rahul's comment. Solve second and fourth set in 30 minutes, great. Then I chose first set instead due to its weird looks. Rahul, even set one had a weird look. Okay, so my point essentially is don't go by looks. Spend half a minute, 1 minute going through the data, look at the question, and then you will be able to say, okay, which one to go for. Okay, okay. But the positive thing is 30 minutes, two sets is not a bad deal at this point of time. Okay, yeah. So we are down to we're on to quant.
So in the quant, it was easier than what CAT 20. It was easier than what CAT
Ravi,
2020
Ravi,
got.
Ravi, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think this is important. Now, Ashutosh has a question. Should I take 1 minute break between each section as in this mock I lacked focus when I reached QA and messed up the QA section? And this is not only for Ashutosh, for everyone. If you're fatigued, don't just soldier on. Don't just continue. Give yourself that 1 minute, 30 second, 45 second, 1.5 minute break. That is possibly going to rejuvenate you and get you back on track. Otherwise, if you just continue in the same state of mind, you are anyway going to mess up the paper. So don't worry that I have wasted 1.5 minutes. So Ashutosh, I would say yes, this is something which you could definitely do because this is definitely going to help you and it is going to get you back on track and you'll be able to attempt the paper with a fresh mind.
grab a glass of
Yeah, sorry.
water if, Grab a glass of water if you are feeling nervous during the paper also, right? At exam center में भी ऐसे चल के जाके पानी पी के आ सकते हो, कूल लगोगे। बाकी लोग को टेंशन होगा कि ये उठ कैसे गया। So
Okay, one last thing, Ravi. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again.
yeah.
Okay. Now, whenever I'm doing the recording of the solution, one of the recording I do is overview of the section. There, I go through all the sets. I'll explain how or why or what is the reason on the basis of which I'm picking up a particular set. Okay. My suggestion to those of you who are struggling with the with the fact that you are unable to pick the right set of data, all the prime and the CDCs for which I've done the recording, please go through that 10-minute recording for each paper. Those 5, 6 recordings will give you an idea as to how to go about it. I'm not saying you have to do exactly what I do, but that will give you sufficient data and hint as to what you should be doing. And then you will be able to evolve your own method and you'll be able to pick the right sets of data. So those 10 minutes of recording at the beginning of every paper, what should I be doing in the paper? How should I attempt? I think is what you should be definitely going through. If you're struggling with the fact that you are unable to choose the right sets of data. Yeah, let's go on to quant now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the quant section, seems to be easier, a little bit, a tad easier than CAT 2021, but definitely a little bit tougher when it comes to the All India Open Mock that happened a couple of weeks ago. So the All India Open Mock that happened 6th and 7th of August, people said that quant बहुत ही easy आ गया था इसमें. So this time yeah, it is
रवि
evident
तीन में
that
से एक तो इजी आएगा ही आएगा
yeah.
तीन में से एक तो इजी होगा ही ना and if you look at the trends of the last 5, 6 years cat has deliberately decided that they will not give very difficult paper because they are looking for gender and academic diversity if they make it difficult it is going they will be struggling on the diversity part.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
In fact, CAT okay, IIMs have made sure that that the criteria of eligibility that they have or the criteria of selection that they have, they don't like engineers anymore. So they don't like math. So that is where all the jugaad comes into picture. They are not going to ask you any math. It's a no math paper.
Hmm. Ravi, there's a question. No, not this one. Where can we find the videos? Uh, can you just tell them?
So the video
Hmm.
recordings are available under the solutions, video solutions tab in the mock analysis part. ठीक है, वहां से आपको मिल जाएंगे whatever solutions are recorded for this mock. You'll get all question wise recording over there. No,
And
it
Ravi,
doesn't mean that
I'm
boys are bad in math.
I picked it up because Neha, it is not in any way to say that that girls are bad in maths. This is to say, if you look at an engineering college has almost 75. Why 75? An average engineering college will have close to 85 to 90% boys. So the general assumption is engineers do well in maths because 85% of the engineers are boys. Hence, boys will be able to handle the maths.
सर
Okay, so
इसमें
that
एक
is
और
what
चीज,
it is. इससे और कोई कुछ नहीं है.
इसमें एक और चीज है सर, इंजीनियर में भी सब जात वाले नहीं लिखते सर कैट।
हाँ, हाँ,
इंजीनियर्स में जो मैकेनिकल है, सिविल है, जहाँ लड़कियां नहीं होती और
हाँ.
जिनका प्लेसमेंट भी नहीं होता, बाकी लोग तो सॉफ्टवेयर में आईटी में चले जाते हैं,
आईटी
इनको
में चले ही
नौकरी
जाते हैं,
नहीं
ठीक है.
लगती।
हाँ,
तो ये
तो
लोग लिखते हैं।
कंप्यूटर साइंस वाला कम मिलता है, वो 2 साल बाद आता है वर्क एक्स के
करेक्ट,
बाद.
कंप्यूटर साइंस वाला वर्क एक्स के बाद आता है, तो
So,
इसलिए
so
वो इंजीनियर इज रेफर टू
hmm.
लाइक दैट। ठीक है, नॉट टू हर्ट
And
एनी।
Neha, I am assuming you are not an engineer, okay? And if you are an engineer, so I'm sure you understand what we are saying. If you are not, please talk to your friends who are engineers. चलो आगे चलते हैं, वापस काम पे लग जाते हैं.
राइट,
Hmm.
सो it's a paper full of greens again, but the attempt rates could have been better in quite a few greens over here.
Hmm. Hmm. अरे वाह, I'm happy to see question 47 such a high accuracy rate, because this was a question which you could easily do without even solving the paper question. This was a question which was
इसका
doable
आंसर वन,
purely by
both वन
choices.
and थ्री था।
Both 1 and 3 hoga, because choice 1 and 3 were same and 2 could not be the answer.
करेक्ट, करेक्ट। So
ठीक है.
I think more or less it is a pretty well balanced paper in terms of the level of difficulty. There are three to four difficult questions that ended up being difficult. We may have to look at what those questions were. 63, 64, 65. What's your feeling about those, sir? They were in a
I'm
group
just opening
of
the
difficult
paper to
questions.
check. 64 should not have been a problem. 63, I think, would have been an issue. 65 should not have been a problem. I think 64 and 65, because they are virtually at the end of the paper, and it is quite possible students were struggling with time and hence they were not able to do it. I think 64, 65 both were doable, and 64 is about interest rate, 10% compounded annually.
Correct.
If the product of interest accrued in the second year, interest accrued in third year is 1197.
Hmm.
Interest accrued in second year will be 11%. Interest accrued in third year will be 12.1% on compounding. So 11.1% of principal plus into 12.1% of principal is given to us. So
Correct.
there, I think people would have forgotten that it should be p square. 11.1 p into 12.1, 11 p into 12.1 p. It becomes p square. That is a place where error could have come in. But look at the attempt rate. Attempt rates are fairly low. So I think it is more question of not being able to reach the end of the paper.
Correct. Question 58. Someone seems to have a issue with question 58.
Mhm. How many pairs of integers exist such that the difference between their product and sum is 42? Okay. Difference between the product AB into AB minus A plus B modulus should be equal to 42. Yeah, I would not do this question in the paper. काम कराएगा, एक तो choices भी नहीं है, थीटा वाला सवाल दे दिया है. Now you want me to do some work.
I think you're right. I think you're right. You don't need to take ordered pairs there.
Hmm.
I don't think we need to take ordered pairs in this question,
No, it
right, sir?
should not be ordered pairs.
Yeah, so the answer should be 4. You're right. I missed out on that.
Okay.
I'll get that corrected. So 58, that is why it has a very low accuracy rate.
रवि कितना टाइम लगा इस सवाल में? मैंने छोड़ दिया था कहते हुए, मैं कहा इतना टाइम, मेरे को लगा टाइम लगेगा.
So इसमें दो केस बन रहे थे सर. प्रोडक्ट ऑफ टू नंबर्स वाज either becoming -41 or it was becoming 43.
Okay. To me
So
it was that AB minus A plus B,
correct.
and
Yeah.
the other could be A plus B minus AB.
A
Both
plus
have
B
to
minus
equal to
AB. So
42.
two
So two
cases.
cases I thought कि यार कौन लगाएगा टाइम बेकार में इसमें. ठीक है.
उसका स्टैंडर्ड तरीका ही है करने का, और कुछ किया भी नहीं जा सकता.
वो इसलिए छोड़ देता हूँ मैं.
Right.
तो काम करने की आदत कम है.
Right.
ठीक है.
So I think that's it. That sums it all. More or less, there were enough questions for you to pick in the paper. There are at least 10 greens in this paper, and the 10 greens would have landed you at the 97th percentile mark. The sad part is,
Ravi,
7 out of those
Ravi,
10
can you have
greens
it
were
checked? Ki I had
slightly
done the video solutions yesterday, but I think I'm not sure if I informed Ravi about it or not. So maybe it is still which is, he may not be aware.
all right.
क्योंकि
Let,
people are
let,
asking for LRDI solutions. So हो सकता है मैं से because of my mistake people Ravi may not be aware. ठीक है, एक बार उसको बोल दोगे. Ujjwal, I'm sorry, it is my mistake. I forgot to inform the Ravi, not Ravi Teja, the Ravi, that the solutions have to be uploaded. They were ready yesterday itself. Kaushik, Jijo should be back next weekend. Okay. And Ravi, people asking about DILR 1000, QO 1000.
DILR 1000 and QA 1000 are, we just uh, close that with Aksar today. We should be able to launch it by this month end.
Okay.
So Sagar is saying, I have speed issue in quants. I take 4 5 minutes per question in QA. Please tell me some ways. Poor attempt rate. Don't take 4 5 minutes. The moment you are crossing 4 minutes, leave it. As
Yeah, but
simple as that.
Sagar, to me, the question which you need to ask yourself is, uh, why are you attempting these questions, which are taking you 4 5 minutes? After the paper, can you find questions which are doable in 2 3 4 minutes? If you could find questions which are doable in, let's say, less than 3 minutes, then maybe it's a choice of question. However, if you say almost all questions you take 4 5 minutes to solve, then I would say it is lack of revision and maybe not very strong with concepts. So then you have to work on both these aspects. Then I would say that the areas or the topics which you are not very comfortable with, please start taking topic tests of that area and revise them regularly.
So, guys, we are starting with the offline workshops on weekends for race to 99 percentile, right? And we have the on our website we have updated the dates and the locations where where a team of us will be visiting for taking the offline sessions. And if you have registered for race to 99 percentile, the online workshops, please make sure that you attend the offline workshops as well by being there if it is that if we are coming to your town. And that is primarily the reason why we have shifted the prime CDC analysis to Monday, because Saturdays and Sundays most of us will be traveling and will not be available in that sense, right?
Yeah. So Ravi, I think that answers one other question which I was about to upload, share. But before that, Amrit uh, says I was under not in the notion all the four will be doable. Amrit, you will never know whether all four are doable or not. You will know that only after the paper, which is why you don't slow down. I don't want you to speed up, but I don't want you to slow down also. If your set is doable in 7 minutes, by doing it in 10 minutes, you're not doing yourself a favor. Okay. So don't get into fall into this trap that what Ravi said. Doing two sets is not the target. The target is to do all these sets and questions which are easy. That is the target. Now, how many of them are easy, we will know only at the end of the paper. So when you are attempting the paper, don't slow down. Don't rush also, but don't slow down. So don't go for a leisurely walk in the park kind of an attitude. Yes, there has to be some urgency, but you are not rushing through it. Okay? So that is something you need to be looking at. Okay? The other question was couple of students were saying, yeah. So I think this should be fine that instead of Karthik, we'll be doing the analysis on Monday night now, because Saturday, Sunday, almost all of us will be traveling, and it will be a little difficult to do the analysis, okay, for the race to 99 workshops across across different cities. So I think that should be fine now. Yeah, Ravi.
So, yeah, what will be included in the offline workshop? See, in the if you have attended the online workshop, consider it that consider your offline workshop will be a little different from it in terms of the questions that we will be using to illustrate the kind of techniques that we were illustrating. Like GP sir used a set of 20, 15, 20 odd questions before coming into solving the CAT 2021 slot 2 paper. This time around we will be discussing a different paper, so that we showcase to you how to use these techniques differently in different kinds of papers. So the offline workshops will have a different content from the online workshops, and if you are available in that city, please make sure that you are attending it live on that day.
Okay, those of you who are attending the offline workshop, please go through the CAT 21 slot 3 paper. We'll be doing the verbal DILR and quant from that paper. Okay. Rashmi Meher. Yeah, I was about to pick up this question itself, Ravi.
Yeah.
So Rashmi, it will Rashmi, sorry, Rashmi, they will look difficult because they are the difficult ones. The easier ones you have done already. So when you are coming for the second round, these are the questions which are either time consuming or a little difficult. So don't worry if they seem a little tougher. I would say in round two, if it takes you 3 to 4 minutes or even 5 minutes to solve the question, it's perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with this. As long as you have done something like 10 odd questions round one, in round two, if you do 2 to 3 questions, it is not an issue at all. 3 questions in 10 minutes, round three, or 3 questions in 12 minutes, round two, round three is 2 or 3 is perfectly fine with me.
So you can find the schedule of the race to 99 percentile sessions here in the link that I have posted over here. How many hours should we study? How many hours should we study depends totally upon what is your confidence and what is your preparation level. Normal, iron, right? It is a very subjective question. It differs from person to person. You should practice as long as you don't feel confident in a topic. Yeah, that is a separate course, Ismail. ISMite Medias. Okay. Ashi, I think it was made very clear that VRC 1000 will have most of the videos of VRC 1000 will be the same as the last year. If you have any queries related to it, you can directly talk to Jiju sir about this. So, all right, I think that ends it. I'll stop it here. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
a lot, guys, for attending this.
Okay. Bye. Good night.